My name is Aleksandr Zharkov. I'm working for Heidelberg Materials. Maybe a few words about the company, what we are doing. The company itself has nothing with delivering IT products or doing fancy IT job. We are doing a pretty simple business. We are converting big stones into small stones and sell the small stones. We are producing cement, beton in the whole world. So we are pretty distributed in more than in 50 countries. And yeah, in headquarters in Heidelberg, we have our central IT teams. We have also some hubs distributed across the world in different time zones. And about 5 years ago, or 2019, we started creating our own products, software products for our customers and customers. And we got development teams. And, So with time, with the development, we have employed one tool, another tool. In the beginning, we started following the DevOps mindset from the beginning. So we didn't rely only on infrastructure teams who were providing the first clusters for us. So we were doing deployments by ourselves. So yeah, I personally was doing some first of deployments or defining some first services running on the Kubernetes for the company. And currently I'm head of platform engineering, and it's also another buzzword in this conference. I realized a lot of talks about platform engineering. What we are doing, we have 4 teams. 2 of them are DevOps teams, so more focus on the infrastructure and providing the infrastructure. And 2 teams, they are providing, we call it software building blocks. So one team is responsible for identity and access management used by our applications. So authentication, authorization, all the permission model for the end customer applications. And the second team is providing API management. But today we will talk about our small zoo, which we have in our platforms, which we provide also to outside of our software engineering department, because we have also some development teams located in the local countries with we're creating products for them. And yeah, here is part of our tools. I haven't put everything, but the main parts covering the whole nice infinity loop of DevOps. So we employ GitLab as one of the main players in our development setup. For development tools, we have mostly .NET backend, so .NET developers. That's why we use different versions of Microsoft Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code. Also, we like a lot tools from JetBrains. There are also different preferences from the developer. Somebody likes to work with Radar, or somebody wants to use ReSharper. We have some Python developers. We have some Java development. For front-end, we use React Native, React.js. So there is also front-end development. For mobile, we use React Native. And yeah, that means we need to have pipelines for the mobile applications, and yeah, pretty big set of tools. And before we started DevSecOps journey on the code phase, the security part basically was limited by common sense of our developers and their feelings about security. So we didn't have the high standards, but we use the tools from the which already provide pretty good possibilities to take care of developer. The developer writes quality code, and if you write quality code, the probability of your security issues are lower. Some teams started using SonarQube. We provided it since, I don't know, almost at the beginning of our development, but it was not standardized. It was not integrated to all pipelines. So for our development, we have a common pipeline template, and each team can use their own extension of a pipeline, of a base CI pipeline, and extend it with some steps. And some teams started using SonarQube pretty from the beginning. But as I said, there were no standardization. We deploy mostly in Azure, and some teams are using some ugly services from Microsoft, from Azure, which can integrate only with Azure DevOps, or which can integrate the deployment only with GitHub. And that's why, though our main source control tool is GitLab, we have also integration or replication of the repositories to the GitHub or to the Azure DevOps. Yeah? So that's why on the build step, we mostly rely on the GitLab CI, but for some cases, we also interact with two more source control systems, and we also use, for example, GitHub Actions for the mobile builds, because, yeah, great feature of them, they provide Apple machines out of the box as a service, so you don't need to care about setting up, and it just works. Yeah. For release, testing part. We started our software development with very focus on the quality, because the main idea was to create applications for the customers, and they are taking a lot of care if it doesn't work well, and you are on the construction site waiting when your truck is coming, and if your software doesn't work well, and in the critical moment, it could be very disappointing. So from the beginning, we had a pretty high automation level in the quality assurance. So a lot of UI testing is done as end-to-end tests in Cypress mostly. We also use Postman and Newman for automation of the API tests. Also, we see it kind of end-to-end testing. And yeah, all the stuff, what we deploy, we mostly deploy to the Kubernetes. Majority of backends are running on Kubernetes, but we also have some Azure functions, Azure application services. But still, the majority of the services, we build a Docker as an artifact of a build process, a Docker image, and we use our own registry in Azure Kubernetes, Azure Container Registry, and in GitLab itself. Then the deployment, I think this topic was covered in other talk from our company yesterday. So we use GitOps, one more buzzword, GitOps approach to deploy our services to the Kubernetes. So we have Argo CD, and for all the infrastructure, I think since 2020 we have our motto, everything as a code. Yeah, so now it's not allowed to deploy any infrastructure component without having it in the code. We can use it in lab environments to test, to understand how it works. As soon as you understand how infrastructure components work, then it goes immediately to the respective Terraform project. And here we also cover, from my point of view, also cover pretty good security topics, because it doesn't go to the production, or for DevOps, production is also development environment for developers. For DevOps team, it's already production environment. If development environment doesn't work, that stops 20 teams, yeah, and for us it's an incident for DevOps team. So that's why we have also code review, and this brings another aspect of security. But yeah, at the end we have pretty big set of tools dealing with monitoring. I will not name all of them, but we gather a lot of data internally and try to correlate this data with also some data from Jira, from ticketing system, with data from GitLab, so that we can automatically generate change requests and maybe even analyze how much new feature can cost us after cloud deployment, but that's a different topic. But already to the beginning of our journey, we had a pretty ready setup for our monitoring and logging platform. Yeah, so I will skip this part. Let's focus on our DevSecOps journey. What were our goals? So we knew that we are creating pretty quality software, but we wanted to be sure that on each step of software development, developer thinks about security. Yeah? I am a developer myself since 20 years, and I think that for majority of developers, security topics, security standards, processes, they are very often became boring. And when we started our journey, one of our goals was that we introduce a tool set which will allow developers not to think too much how to do, but thinking about more what does it mean to have a security, understand the tools pretty well. Yeah, we wanted to cover several topics in the DevSecOps journey, not all of them, yeah, and I would say we still haven't finished our journey. Since we developing this set of tools as a part of our platform, which we treat also as a product since a few years ago, and the product is constantly in development. That's why we don't see our journey as a finished, but we can say we already achieved some level of setup which we wanted to have. And from the scope and teams, we introduced the specific tools not only during the development process, so where software development teams were involved, but also on the infrastructure development process, because, as I said, for us, infrastructure is a code, and we also want to have a modern tools and integrate automation as much as possible, also checking for quality in automated way. So for infrastructure, mostly DevOps part of the software engineering department was active, but we also worked pretty close with our colleagues from infrastructure and operations department. So here you can see potential steps of a DevSecOps journey, which you will find in numerous of white papers in the internet. We were using very heavily OWASP recommendations because we are mostly developing web services. And for us, the key security area is related around APIs and our single-page applications. So basically, the biggest risks are in the web. And we look at all of these parts, and we started matching what is the gap between what we have already and what we need to bring additionally to resolve potential security problems. The obvious part was integrating software static application security testing. And since we already had SonarQube open source version, we decided to continue using it, but to professionalize its usage. Then we wanted to focus on dynamic application security testing. Before that, we had kind of occasional usage of penetration tests done by external teams after some big releases. Yeah. We also had the support of our security team, which were executing also some automated penetration tests. But it was not integrated to the daily development process. And even now, we are not yet far enough in this direction, so we have some steps ahead. Okay, and one of the other, here I gathered some set of tools which we were considering when we were analyzing our infinity loop of DevOps. And very often, I think the plan part is ignored or not addressed very well. So for us, it's the case. Yeah, we started planned pretty, I will show a bit later, pretty naive, and we thought it will work pretty good, but yeah, we had some surprises. So now when I am looking back, I think that's one of the parts which you as a team, if you want to follow DevSecOps journey, you need to take more attention. Yeah, and also the biggest challenge for our software development teams was a risk analysis. And there are some tools out of the box, but for us, we didn't use these, for example, OWASP Threat Dragon, which is kind of a modeling tool. Yet in our diagramming tool, we use just our kind of a standard draw.io. Yeah, so simply took our flow diagrams or high-level architecture diagrams and identified some areas which we want to cover, risk areas. Then on the code level, as I said, so we use pretty sophisticated tools already, and what we wanted to introduce is more standardization and integration with security checks during your linting phase. Then during build, SonarQube and CycloneDX and dependency track. CycloneDX and dependency track, they're going pretty good together because one part we use to generate software bills of materials, so information about the packages which we use, and the dependency track we are using for dashboarding, visualization of the potential vulnerabilities which we have in our setup. For test and release phase, we already had some paid solution, but we also look into the OWASP ZAP. Yeah, so it's I forgot abbreviation. It's a proxy which you can use in interactive model, in interactive mode. So basically, navigating in your application through this proxy, and the proxy itself, based on the requests which are coming to your backends, it will try to dynamically hack your systems, hack your backends. What we, sorry. Yeah, for release and deploy step, very important part is key management, because very often it's ignored during security journeys, and that's why there is a lot of focus that you don't have open keys in your code. It's covered by software analysis tools, component analysis tools, but still, what we have done, we focused mostly on automating of key management. And in a lot of cases, developers even not able to see the keys which are used by the programs or by the APIs. And yeah, maybe last step or last part of our infinity loop is operation and monitoring of the systems. And here, again, dependency track, which we use for monitoring. And okay, SonarCube, I think, yeah, I included it because here, what we have done, I will show a bit later. We integrated our analytics tools with results of dependency track and SonarCube so that we can monitor the progress of improvements in the code quality, I don't know, test coverage, ratings of the SonarCube, which are considered, and we also did some gamification, which I show maybe a bit later, so that the software development teams compete a bit, who will have better code coverage and so on. And one step, which is very heavy to introduce as a part of a DevSecOps journey, is regular updates. Updating your packages, updating your infrastructure components. It's, if you develop in the modern world, you know all the jokes about NPM. Yeah, you installed NPM and then you open the door to another reality. And here, Renovate, that's one of the tools which we choose. It helps to keep track of all the updates of these thousands of packages which you may have. For backend, it's much easier, but still, we use .NET with NuGet, and it's really useful as well. Okay, so the journey itself. Here I covered on this slide the tools which were part of our journey. As I said, we focused mostly on static analysis, component analysis, and also monitoring vulnerabilities. With help of our colleagues from other departments, we had security, dynamic application security testing covered by Qualys. It's a paid solution, not an open source one. But as I said, you can use Zap proxy, so it's pretty good. And for the operating part, since last year, we have a standard that all the workloads which are deployed to the cloud. They have enabled antivirus, kind of a classical one, a bit modified for using in the cloud, but all the nodes are covered by Microsoft Defender. And as I said, renovate is a part of our operation process. Okay, we had a plan. Plan was pretty simple. So we install tools, we integrate the tools to pipelines, then we provide pretty nice learning and training, and development teams start analyzing findings, vulnerabilities, then fix all the findings, and everybody happy. So we are done, finished. Yeah. But reality was a bit different. So we installed the tools, integrated them to all the backend pipelines, front-end pipelines, but we realized, okay, the tools which we have chosen, we need to tweak a bit so that they work with our setup. And at the end, we realized it's not enough to have just a tool. We created several scripts which preparing the tool, preparing the repository, maybe adding some metadata before taking the software bill of materials, for example, which was generated by ContainerDays, and putting it to dependency track. We also realized during the phase, okay, we integrated, published the team, but we realized that from the beginning we are not ready to roll out to all, how many, 17 product teams. So we decided, okay, we will take for each technology, we call them DevSecOps champions, so the persons who were motivated into going forward. And we took it for .NET, for Python, for the Java, for front-end, for JavaScript and TypeScript. And with help of these developers, with champions, we did a common kind of small working groups, introduced changes, tested how it works. Is it already ready for rollout? And there were several iterations before we achieved the state when we said, okay, now we are ready to start learning and training. In our company, in digital, we have a tradition of training and learning days, and also inside software engineering, we have regular product engineering meetups where some teams can present something new. Yeah? And to address the topic, first we presented it in one of the meetups, then we had with some teams individual learning sessions. So the technical part, technology, installing tools, it's not so complicated. I think with the first setup, we were ready in 2 weeks for the whole tools. We started this adoption process in the April, and I think April last year, and I think we achieved the situation when all teams understand how to work with a setup only near to the December. Yeah? So it was really the hardest part of all this journey is not the technical tools, not the integrations, but really it's about people. Okay, now maybe a bit of our results and learnings. Okay. I don't know if you have heard about dependency track. So it looks like this. In the dependency track, you can see the different. Unfortunately, it was designed not for microservices setup. Yeah? So it's very good for big projects, like we have a Java project. which is monolith, pretty big, and it's ideal to use dependency track to review this project and handle it. But when you have more than 100 microservices, it's pretty tricky, and to handle this, we introduced some additional metadata which were related to the team, to the product, and we use this for filtering and use it. So you can see some tags near to the name, name of the service, and that's basically the extension which we forced to do for teams to be able to filter. Use it not only for vulnerability management, but as well for open source open source license management. So we defined some policies which are complied to our corporate policy. We automated this part, and now one of the goals was, or KPIs which we put for us, that we don't have license violations till the end, to the end of the journey. But again, it's about people. It's not enough to do initial fix. Yeah, you need to introduce in each team the process, continuous process, which helps you to fix policy violations or security vulnerabilities on a daily basis. And that's also heavy and not finished, still in progress. Some teams doing better, some teams doing worse. Like here you see it's some policy violation introduced just a few months ago already and still not handled, no, not managed. So that's about complexity, how to convince people to follow, not only developers. Yeah? So for us, one of the biggest challenges was also to convince product owners to invest in this engineering work, which is not visible for the customer. It doesn't bring business value, but it brings the value, indirect value, yeah, because we are investing in, at the end, saving the time of the development. Okay, SonarQube, one of the learnings which we get with SonarQube integration, with open source version you can do pretty a lot, but, and it brings visibility. So for the first steps, it's pretty good. But as soon as you want to automate your processes, and as soon as you want to prevent that bad code goes to production, you need to integrate to the pipelines, and that forced us to switch to the, unfortunately, to the paid version. Yeah, it costs not so much, but brings a lot of value, and now we configuring quality gates. And here we also chosen the approach step by step. So first, we defined quality gates, default quality gates, but not enabled them. So we allowed some services to fail. Now, since we see that teams are slowly reaching maturity in the quality and code coverage, in test coverage, and so on, we enabling failing by default, but if team wants to fail, they are still able to turn it off. Yeah, that's some analytics which we gather, and it's visualized in Azure Workbook. So what we have done, we are gathering information from our development systems in the analytics database to track how development process changes over time, and to understand how teams are evolving also in, here is an example in test coverage. Yeah, so how teams are doing it step by step better or not. And here also, I think it's very nice. We also can merge on the left side. You see the link to the product feature model of each product. So basically, you can correlate the microservice part of a product feature and understand how good it is covered with tests. I'm not sure if I have time for Innovate. But few words for Innovate. Again, adoption was the main challenge, and what we have done for each team, we have set up a special repository where they can configure their Innovate schedule in the way how they want, and what they need to do, set up the schedule in this repository and put the GitLab topic renovate for their repository. As soon as it is done, it started being monitored and updated manually. Okay, thank you for joining.
All right, thank you so much. While we wait until some questions come in, because we have a little bit of time, I would love to hear a little bit more about the gamification that you've introduced and the Champions program that you ran.
Okay, so gamification is based on this data. Yeah, so what we have done, that's not the that's kind of view for managers. Well, Give it a second. Yeah, so this one. That's a view for managers, but what we have done, we have gathered this data organized in the mail and distributed across the teams to show which service is a champion in the code coverage, and we was not sure if it will work or not. But looks like it was pretty good accepted by the team. So yeah, we will continue doing it on a regular basis to see how it's progressing. Regarding champions, yeah, we started after we understood that DevOps team by themselves cannot resolve all the issues because they don't know how some services are working. We decided to choose some people who has passion about the topic, and that's the only fuel which can move your technical initiative forwards. Yeah? It was absolutely voluntary for each technology. For some technologies, we have more than one champion, and these guys, we were in close contact with DevOps team, doing all the testing, first testing, helping to create build scripts, because for a lot of teams, the build part is in hands of development team. So we provide some basics as a DevOps team, but the knowledge how to build this or other product, it stays with a product team. That's why it was not possible to integrate, I don't know, Java application with our DevOps engineers don't speak Java. Some of them, yes, but yeah, we need help of champions.
Right. Was the championship mostly like public praise, or were there some sweet prizes attached to it as well?
No, that's just a title for a person.
Okay. Well, I'll take one question because then we need to switch. I'm sorry. What's the next step after Sec? So I guess what is after DevSecOps? What's the next big thing?
I don't know.
This is the time where you can be a thought leader. Whatever you say
AI.
now. AI, DevSecOps, DevSec AI. Okay.
Yeah, actually
we'll workshop it. Okay. Cool.
Thinking how to integrate existing tools with our also knowledge base and connect with AI. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you can find Aleksandr after this as well. If you have any more questions, we have to switch for our last talk of the day. Let's give him one more round of applause, please.
Thanks, everybody.